What if I told you that one single minute, 60 quiet seconds, could begin to wake your body back up? Not a miracle cure, not another supplement ad, just one ordinary action done with awareness. A minute that reminds your blood how to move, your mind how to rest, and your spirit how to stand tall again. Sounds impossible, right? Yet it's one of the simplest biological truths I've seen in over 3 decades of practice. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott, a board-certified urologist and men's health specialist. I've spent most of my career working with men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, men who still want strength, clarity, and confidence. Men who refuse to let time write their final chapter for them. And I can tell you this, your body hasn't forgotten how to be strong. It's just been waiting for a signal to wake up. Before we dive deeper, let me ask a favor. If you value conversations like this, straight talk, real science, zero nonsense, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell. That simple act tells YouTube, show me more truth and less noise. And while you're here, scroll down and tell me in the comments, what's one thing you'd like to reclaim? Energy, focus, drive? I actually read those messages and they shape what we talk about next. Now let's get to the heart of it. When most men picture vitality, they think of muscles or testosterone. But true vitality starts long before any of that. It starts in your circulation. The way your blood carries oxygen, the way your vessels open and close like finely tuned valves. And the trigger for all of it is something so basic we do it every day without thinking: chewing. Every time you chew, you activate the vagus nerve, the great messenger running from your brainstem down through your chest, your gut, and yes, even to the organs that define your manhood. That signal tells your body to release nitric oxide, a small but mighty molecule that lets blood vessels relax and widen. When nitric oxide is plentiful, blood flows freely. Your heart, your brain, and your confidence all stay alive. But as the years pass, that production slows. Stress, poor sleep, processed food, and certain medications all tighten the system. Think of it like a garden hose left out in the sun. It stiffens. It kinks and pressure drops where you need it most. You haven't lost your power, it's just trapped behind a bend in the line. Here's the beautiful part. The body still remembers how to make nitric oxide. You just have to feed it the right materials and send the right signal. That signal begins in the mouth, with movement, with oxygen, with rhythm. Chewing is more than digestion, it's communication. It tells the entire body, we're alive, let's get to work. In this series, I'll show you how to turn that simple minute of chewing into what I call the 60-second ritual. A practical, no-nonsense method to restore circulation, balance hormones, and clear the fog that often creeps in after 60. We'll talk about the exact foods that fuel the process, the breathing pattern that amplifies it, and how to make it part of your morning routine without changing your whole life. But for now, do something simple. Hit like on this video. It takes a heartbeat and it helps more men find the truth instead of another shortcut. And when you hit like, I want to send you 3 wishes, American style, man to man. First, may your mornings come with strong coffee, steady hands, and the quiet satisfaction of still being in the fight. Second, may your evenings bring calm conversation, a good laugh, and someone who notices that spark in your eyes returning. And third, may tomorrow greet you with a body that feels a little more alive than yesterday, because that's what progress really is. Those wishes are yours the moment you tap that button. It's a symbolic act, sure, but symbols matter. They remind us that improvement starts small and that small things done consistently change everything. So here's what I ask: subscribe, like, and share your thoughts below. Tell me where you're tuning in from and what part of your health story you're writing next. This channel isn't about perfection, it's about reclaiming strength with grace, humor, and honesty. Stick with me, because in the next chapter we'll pull back the curtain on what truly happens to a man's body after 60, the hard truth about nitric oxide, circulation, and how to turn decline into a comeback. For now, take a breath. Feel the air fill your lungs. That's the first signal of life coming back online. This is Dr. Jonathan Prescott reminding you the engine still runs, it just needs the right spark. Most men don't realize how quietly it happens. There's no headline moment when vitality packs up and leaves. One morning you just notice the stairs feel steeper, your focus drifts sooner, your confidence fades a little faster than it used to. And because it doesn't hit all at once, you start telling yourself, maybe this is just aging. But that isn't the whole truth. What's really happening runs much deeper down in the biology that fuels everything a man is. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott, and I want to lay this out plainly without scare tactics or sugar coating. After 60, the male body enters a phase of recalibration. Hormones slow, muscles lose tone, blood flow becomes sluggish. But the core mechanism behind that shift isn't testosterone, like every TV ad wants you to believe. It's nitric oxide, the master molecule of circulation. Let's strip away the jargon. Nitric oxide is your body's natural command for your arteries to open. When you were 25, nitric oxide production was effortless. Blood traveled fast, oxygen fed your brain, and every cell stayed alert. But by the time you hit 60, your nitric oxide levels can drop by more than half. Imagine trying to water a field through a half-closed hose. The ground never truly soaks. That's what's happening inside millions of older men right now. And here's where it gets personal. When blood doesn't reach the muscles, they shrink. When it doesn't reach the brain, focus fades. When it doesn't reach the reproductive organs, confidence wavers. Most men interpret these changes as losing manhood. In truth, it's just physics. Less flow equals less function. So what blocks the flow? Years of tension, processed food, high blood pressure, and sedentary habits all tighten the vascular system. Even certain prescription medications can dull nitric oxide pathways. That doesn't mean you should stop your meds, never do that without your doctor, but it means your body's engine is idling when it could be revving. The irony is that we men were built to move, to hunt, to build, to fix. Our bodies thrive on microbursts of circulation. But modern life has us sitting, scrolling, reacting instead of engaging. Over decades, that stillness becomes rust. Here's the encouraging twist: you can reverse a surprising amount of it. Science now shows that nitric oxide production can rebound at any age when given three things: movement, oxygen, and the right raw materials. That's why I began studying natural dietary triggers like walnuts, almonds, and leafy greens rich in arginine and nitrates. When paired with mindful chewing and controlled breathing, these foods jumpstart the same nitric oxide pathways your body used effortlessly in youth. But before you run to the store, remember this: rebuilding vitality isn't about chasing youth. It's about reclaiming function, the kind of steady, dependable strength that makes you feel at home in your own skin again. Let's talk numbers for a second. Clinical studies show that men who restore nitric oxide balance can experience up to a 50% improvement in endothelial function. That's the flexibility of your arteries within just a few weeks. Blood pressure drops, mental clarity improves, sleep deepens, and even mood stabilizes. Why? Because when blood flows properly, the whole system hums in rhythm. That's why in this series I keep repeating one phrase: it's not gone, it's asleep. Your vitality isn't a lost artifact, it's a dormant program, and like any good machine, once you clear the line, it starts again with a satisfying hum. Now, a quick reality check. No single food or ritual fixes everything. You can't eat one walnut and expect fireworks. What matters is consistency, daily actions that keep nitric oxide active. Think of it like brushing your teeth. One session does nothing, but habit keeps decay away. Over the next few minutes, we'll talk about how to do exactly that. We'll start with a food that nature designed as a circulatory powerhouse. A food I like to call the humble spark plug. But before we get there, I want to hear from you. Pause this video, scroll down, and tell me in the comments, what does vitality mean to you personally? Is it the energy to play 18 holes again, the patience to teach your grandson how to fish, or just waking up without stiffness in your back? Write it down. Putting it in words is the first step to bringing it back. And while you're down there, hit the like button if you want more real talk instead of recycled myths. When you tap that thumb, you're telling me and every man watching, we're not done yet. To everyone who does, here's what I wish for you. May the next sunrise catch you already moving, not because you must, but because you can. May your pulse find its rhythm again, steady, confident, unmistakably alive. And may the mirror tomorrow reflect not the years you've lived, but the strength you've chosen to keep. That's the real truth about male vitality after 60. It isn't youth reborn, it's power rediscovered. Stick around, because next we'll explore why chewing matters more than you think, and how that simple motion sends the very signal your arteries have been waiting to hear. Most men underestimate chewing. We treat it as background noise, something you do between bites and conversation. But chewing, my friend, is far more than a habit. It's communication between your mouth and your arteries, your nerves and your brain. Every bite you take sends a message. I'm alive, I'm nourishing, I'm restoring. It's one of the few biological acts that still connect us directly to our primal rhythm. Yet somewhere between drive-through breakfasts and late-night meals over the sink, we've lost that connection. Chewing is not just about breaking food down. It's a physiological signal, a starter pistol for the entire body. When your jaw moves, you trigger a cascade of responses. The salivary glands release enzymes, blood flow increases to the brain, and nitric oxide begins forming right inside your mouth. See, saliva isn't simple. It's an intricate blend of enzymes, nitrates, and amino acids. When you chew slowly, your saliva interacts with beneficial bacteria on your tongue to create nitric oxide, the same molecule that keeps your blood vessels flexible and your circulation strong. That means the very act of chewing, something most men do on autopilot, is actually fueling the system that powers their strength, clarity, and performance. When you stop chewing well, you quietly shut down that system. You eat too fast. Swallow air, skip the breathing, and your body misses the signal. The digestion falters, circulation slows, and you wonder why you feel heavy, foggy, or dull after every meal. I once had a patient named George, 67, retired electrician. He came into my clinic convinced he needed testosterone therapy, said he'd lost energy, focus, and even his drive to socialize. After some tests, I told him something he didn't expect. George, I don't think you need more hormones, I think you need to slow down. He looked at me like I'd told him to meditate on a mountain, but I asked him to try an experiment, chew every bite at least 20 times, breathe through his nose, and eat without distraction. 3 weeks later, he came back with color in his face. He told me, "Doc, I'm sleeping better. My blood pressure's lower. My wife says I look 10 years younger." And he hadn't taken a single supplement. The only thing he'd done was reawaken his body's natural circulation switch. That's the kind of result that reminds me, sometimes the simplest corrections do the most. Here's what most people forget: chewing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest mode. That's when your heart rate slows, blood flow improves, and stress hormones fade. It's the body's way of saying, we're safe now, let's repair. Most modern men never give their bodies that message. They eat under pressure, at the desk, in the car, on the phone, always in fight or flight. Over time, that constant tension stiffens the arteries and starves the cells that rely on oxygen-rich blood. If you want to rebuild vitality after 60, you don't start in the gym, you start at the table. You rebuild it one bite at a time. Try this at your next meal. Don't just eat and chew. Count to 20 for each bite. Feel the food, breathe through your nose, and let your tongue rest against the roof of your mouth. It sounds simple, almost primitive. But what you're doing is stimulating nitric oxide production at the root of your system. And this subtle shift affects everything downstream. It sharpens your focus. It deepens your sleep. It improves blood flow to your brain, heart, and yes, even where confidence begins. Another man, Harold, 71, once told me after practicing this for a month, I didn't realize how numb I'd become, not just my body, but my mind. Chewing like that felt like turning the lights back on. There's poetry in that, because chewing is a reminder that vitality isn't a pill or a promise, it's presence. When you eat slowly, you bring yourself back into your body. You restore rhythm where there was rush, control where there was chaos. Physiologically, you're doing something measurable, increasing nitric oxide by up to 25–30%, improving digestion, stabilizing blood sugar, and lowering blood pressure. But spiritually, and yes, even emotionally, you're doing something greater. You're learning to live in tune with yourself again. When men talk about losing energy with age, they often mean they've lost that rhythm, that subtle coordination between breath, bite, and blood flow. But it can return. You just have to send the signal again. So when you sit down to eat tonight, remember, your jaw isn't just a tool, it's a switchboard. It tells your body whether to survive or to thrive. And in that small act, chewing, lies one of the most underappreciated, quietly powerful ways to restore male vitality after 60. Because the secret to feeling alive again doesn't always come from something new. Sometimes it comes from doing the old things, the forgotten things, the right way. Next, we'll look at one of the most overlooked foods in that equation. It's small, earthy, and ancient, but it's also nature's quiet engineer of circulation, the walnut. There's another hidden layer to walnuts that fascinates me, their connection to testosterone regulation. There's a reason the walnut looks like a brain nature leaves clues. Inside that wrinkled little shell lies one of the most powerful tools we have for circulation, memory, and hormonal balance. Yet most men walk past it in the grocery aisle like it's bird food. I've said this before, the older male body doesn't break down, it slows down. The goal isn't to restart it with chemicals, but to fuel it with the right spark. And when it comes to reawakening nitric oxide and vascular flexibility, walnuts are one of the best-kept secrets nature ever made. Now let's get specific. Walnuts are packed with L-arginine, an amino acid your body converts directly into nitric oxide, that same molecule responsible for dilating blood vessels and improving blood flow. But they don't stop there. Walnuts are also rich in omega-3 fatty acids, magnesium, and antioxidants, all of which help your arteries stay elastic and resistant to plaque. In plain English, walnuts help your body breathe again. I once worked with a retired Navy officer named Douglas, 72, who'd been on 3 blood pressure medications and still couldn't get his numbers under control. His wife was worried. He was frustrated. During our first consultation, I asked him a simple question, "Do you eat any nuts?" He laughed, "No, doc, I've got teeth, not a beak." I told him to humor me, 1 handful of walnuts a day, no salt, no sugar, just natural. 3 weeks later, his blood pressure dropped 12 points. His morning walks felt lighter. He told me his wedding ring, which had been tight for years, started to loosen. That's not magic, that's circulation. Now, before someone in the comments says it, yes. You can overdo it. Walnuts are calorie-dense, and a full bag in one sitting won't make you immortal. The key is moderation. 1 small handful a day, about an ounce, is all it takes to trigger measurable vascular changes. And here's something most men don't realize. Those same compounds that help your arteries also help your brain. The omega-3s in walnuts feed the myelin sheaths that protect your nerves. The antioxidants reduce inflammation that fogs up memory and focus. That's why men who include walnuts in their daily diet often report sharper recall and calmer moods, not because they are superfoods, but because they literally help your brain breathe. A viewer named Calvin from Indiana left a comment last week. "Dr. Prescott, I tried adding walnuts like you mentioned in your older video. I swear my hands don't tingle in the mornings anymore. Is that even possible, or am I just imagining it?" You're not imagining it, Calvin. That tingling is often a sign of sluggish microcirculation. The tiny blood vessels in your hands and feet aren't getting enough oxygen. Walnuts, with their nitric oxide and anti-inflammatory effects, help reopen those capillaries. The warmth and feeling you're noticing, that's blood doing what it's supposed to do. Another comment came from Leonard in Texas. Doc, I've got dentures. Walnuts are a bit of a challenge. Is there another way to get the same benefits? Good question, Leonard, and I'm glad you asked. The answer's yes. If chewing is tricky, you can grind walnuts into a course meal and sprinkle them over oatmeal or yogurt. What matters is the absorption of the nutrients, not the crunch. You can also soak them overnight, they'll soften, and some studies even suggest soaked walnuts release nutrients more efficiently. That's the beauty of real nutrition. It adapts to you. You don't need perfect teeth, a blender, or a six-pack. You just need consistency. Many men assume testosterone is purely about the hormone itself, but it's more about availability. Your total testosterone might be fine, but if blood flow is weak or oxidative stress is high, that testosterone never reaches its target tissues. The nutrients in walnuts, particularly the polyphenols and arginine, help clear oxidative barriers, meaning your existing testosterone works more efficiently. It's not a boost, it's a release. That's why so many men who add walnuts to their daily routine describe not only feeling more alert but more themselves. Energy stabilizes, sleep deepens, confidence, that quiet inner steadiness, returns. I'll tell you this, when I look at a man's diet, I can tell a lot about his blood flow. A man who eats processed carbs, fried oils, and sugar-laden snacks, his vessels are inflamed, stiff, under siege. A man who eats real food, things that grew, the things that lived, things his grandfather would recognize, that's a man whose blood still moves with purpose. And walnuts, humble as they seem, belong to that second category. Some people ask me, Dr. Prescott, if walnuts are so good, why doesn't every cardiologist recommend them? The answer is convenience. You can't patent a walnut, you can't turn it into a billion-dollar pill. But you can eat it every day, quietly, cheaply, effectively, and no one can sell you the credit for it. So here's my rule of thumb. When nature gives you something shaped like your brain, packed with compounds that repair your heart, and grown in a shell tough enough to survive a century, pay attention. That's not coincidence. That's design. To every man listening right now, don't underestimate what seems small. A handful of walnuts won't make you 20 again, but it might make you feel more like the man you were always meant to stay. Because sometimes longevity isn't about doing more. It's about doing less but doing it right. Next, we'll look at another quiet giant in this store, one that works alongside walnuts to keep the bloodstream young, the onion. You'll never look at it the same way again. If walnuts are nature's spark plugs, onions are the oil that keeps the engine running clean. They don't look like much, humble, tear-inducing, easy to ignore, but what they do inside the bloodstream is nothing short of remarkable. When you slice an onion, it releases a compound called allicin, a sulfur-based molecule that acts like a natural cleanser for your arteries. It reduces inflammation, dissolves minor blockages, and encourages the release of nitric oxide. And that means every time you add onions to your meal, raw, sautéed, or roasted, you're not just seasoning your food, you're lubricating your circulation. Most men underestimate this. They'll take expensive supplements before they'll dice an onion. But onions have been medicine long before medicine had a name. Soldiers in ancient Rome used them to strengthen endurance. Farmers in the Midwest once rubbed them on sore muscles. The old folks weren't foolish, they just paid attention. I had a man named Richard, 69, retired machinist from Pennsylvania, who came to me after a mild heart scare, nothing life-threatening, but his cardiologist wanted to add another prescription. Richard told me, Doc, I already take more pills than I've got pockets. There's gotta be another way. So we looked at his habits. He ate decently, walked every morning. Didn't smoke, but his diet was missing that bite that wakes up the blood. I asked him to start eating one small serving of raw onion every day, chopped fine, mixed with olive oil and vinegar, maybe a few tomatoes. He made a face, of course. "You trying to keep me single, doc?" 3 months later, his blood work came back with lower triglycerides, improved HDL, and lower resting blood pressure. His energy was up. And when I asked about his social life, he smiled. "Doc," he said, "my wife started eating onions too. Now, I'm not claiming onions are a miracle drug, but they are a quiet restoration tool, nature's own vascular tune-up. They contain quercetin, one of the strongest natural antioxidants ever studied for arterial health. Quercetin helps your blood vessels expand and contract efficiently, just like well-maintained plumbing. It also helps reduce stiffness in the aorta, which is one of the biggest markers of cardiovascular aging. And unlike supplements, onions work through the digestive system, slow, steady, reliable." One of the comments from our last episode caught my attention. Tom from Arizona wrote, "Doc, I've always hated onions. Can't stand the taste or the smell. But my buddy swears they fixed his cholesterol. Is there a way to get the benefits without the breath?" Tom, I hear you. You're not alone. The smell is strong because the compounds are strong. That's what makes them work. But if raw onions make you wince, try this. Lightly saute them in olive oil until they are translucent but not browned. That keeps most of the allicin intact while toning down the punch. You can also use shallots, green onions, or even garlic. They belong to the same sulfur family and carry similar benefits. The important thing is to keep that family of foods in your diet regularly. Another man, Dennis from Florida, left a simple note that made me smile. "Doc, my granddad ate onions like apples, lived to 92. Maybe he was onto something." He absolutely was, Dennis. That old-fashioned toughness your granddad had, it wasn't luck. It was practice. Men of that generation ate foods that demanded effort, chew, patience, flavor earned, not delivered. Those foods kept their systems flexible because their lives required it. When I talk about onions, I'm really talking about that same principle, keeping what's alive inside you alive. They may make you tear up, but that's just your body reacting honestly. Onions wake the senses, cleanse the blood, and remind the body it still knows how to fight. And here's something few people realize. The combination of walnuts and onions creates a synergy that modern science is only beginning to understand. The arginine from walnuts provides the raw material for nitric oxide, while the sulfur compounds in onions help that nitric oxide stay active longer. Together, they keep the bloodstream young, fluid, responsive, balanced. If you're a man past 60, that's not trivia. That's survival strategy. When I look at the men who aged best, really age well, not just live long, there's a pattern. They eat simple, clean foods that don't need a label. They chew slowly, breathe deeply, and let nature's chemistry do what it was designed to do. They don't chase youth, they cultivate function. And onions, humble as they are, belong to that discipline. There's something poetic about that, isn't there? A food that makes you cry, healing the very system that keeps your heart alive. Well, the pain that brings relief, the sting that strengthens, that's nature's sense of humor right there. If you've ever chopped onions and felt that burn in your eyes, think of it as a handshake from nature. A small price for a big favor. So tonight when you cook, toss in that half onion you used to skip. Sauté it slow, let it melt into your dish. It's not just flavor, it's therapy. Because the real work of longevity doesn't happen in laboratories, it happens in kitchens. In the quiet moments when a man decides to care enough about himself to cook real food again. And if that food happens to make him cry a little, well, maybe that's just his body remembering what it means to feel alive. Next, we'll peel back another layer, this time on the garlic clove, the onion's sharper brother. If the onion keeps your blood clean, garlic keeps it fearless. If the onion is quiet medicine, garlic is its bold younger brother, loud, unapologetic, and full of fight. It doesn't whisper health, it announces it. The smell alone can fill a kitchen or clear one out. But that scent is the scent of power, the unmistakable signature of allicin, one of the most potent natural healing compounds ever discovered. When a clove of garlic is crushed or chopped, it releases allicin instantly, a reaction so fast and volatile that scientists still marvel at how something so simple can be so alive. It's the reason garlic has been called the poor man's antibiotic. But to me, garlic is more than that. It's fire, the element that keeps the blood from turning still. I've treated hundreds of older men who feel their vitality fading, not from disease, but from stagnation. Their blood grows thick. Their will grows quiet. Their spark, that thing that once made them quick to laugh, to move, to desire, dims slowly. And often, before medication, before therapy, I tell them this. Start by waking the fire inside you. Garlic does exactly that. It opens the blood vessels, improves circulation, fights off infection, and clears the arteries like a broom sweeping a dusty floor. It helps regulate cholesterol, lowers triglycerides, and even supports testosterone production by reducing oxidative stress in the testes. There's a quiet rebellion in garlic, a refusal to let time dictate the terms of your life. Let me tell you about Henry, 72, a retired high school football coach from Ohio. When he came to see me, he said, "Doc, I'm not sick, I'm just tired, the kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix." I looked at his numbers, heart rate fine, pressure moderate. The testosterone low normal, but his circulation was sluggish. His body had simply slowed. I asked him what he ate. "Doc," he said, "I've been eating like a man who's afraid of flavor, boiled chicken, white rice, no salt, no fat, trying to stay healthy." I laughed softly. "Henry, you're not feeding your body, you're starving your spirit." We built him a simple regimen. Every morning he would crush one small clove of garlic, let it rest for 10 minutes to activate the allicin, then swallow it with water before breakfast. Not raw, not cooked, just alive. 2 weeks later he called. "Doc," he said, "I can feel my pulse again." His words stayed with me. Because that's exactly what garlic does. It reminds your heart it still has a rhythm worth dancing to. Garlic also strengthens the endothelial cells, those thin, delicate linings of your blood vessels that keep your circulation responsive. As men age, those linings become stiff, brittle, unresponsive. But garlic restores flexibility, making the cardiovascular system feel younger than it is. And the benefits go beyond the heart. Garlic boosts nitric oxide, the same compound responsible for healthy erectile function and muscle performance. Men who eat garlic regularly often notice they sleep deeper, wake clearer, and recover faster after physical exertion. Not because garlic is magic, but because it rekindles the body's own fire, the one most men let go out without noticing. Some years ago, I treated a man named Michael, 64, who had lost interest in intimacy after a mild stroke. He told me quietly, "Doc, it's not even about sex anymore, I just don't feel alive." I looked at him and said, "Then let's bring you back to life." We began with movement, breathwork, and garlic, yes, garlic, crushed daily, mixed into warm olive oil and lemon. Within a month, he told me his hands and feet weren't cold anymore. He started waking up early again, cooking breakfast for his wife. She called me a few weeks later and said, "I don't know what you did, but he's laughing again." That's what garlic does. It brings the color back into a man's life. Science confirms what old traditions always knew. Garlic reduces C-reactive protein CRP, a marker of systemic inflammation. It improves LDL particle size, meaning the cholesterol that does exist in your blood becomes less harmful. It even supports the gut microbiome, feeding beneficial bacteria that, in turn, regulate hormones and immunity. But to me, garlic is not just biology, it's philosophy. It's the belief that strength is not about silence or restraint, it's about heat, movement, and renewal. Garlic doesn't hide its nature. It's sharp, assertive, confident, exactly what a man should become again when he stops fearing age. When I chop garlic at home, I like to pause and breathe in that first burst of scent. It stings the nose and clears the lungs, like truth cutting through pretense. My grandfather used to say, if a kitchen doesn't smell like garlic, it's not alive. I used to laugh at that, now I understand. He lived to 91, never took a single heart pill, but always had garlic hanging from a string by the door like a small white reminder of how simple power really is. There's poetry in that too. Garlic burns, but it also heals. It reminds you that some kinds of pain are necessary, that heat and health are often the same thing. Every man past 60 should have a little garlic in his kitchen and a little fire in his chest. Because longevity isn't just the art of staying alive, it's the art of staying awake. So when you cook tonight, crush a clove. Don't fear the smell. That's the scent of a man who still believes his heart has work left to do. And when that warmth spreads through you, that's not just chemistry, that's remembrance. Your body remembering that strength isn't something you used to have. It's something you can still summon. Next, we'll move from the fire of the body to the calm of the mind, where renewal takes a quieter, deeper form. Because even the strongest flame needs rest, and the heart that burns also needs peace. After the fire of garlic, after the rush of circulation and the heat of renewed blood flow, the next step isn't louder, faster, or more forceful. It's quieter, subtle, almost invisible, yet just as powerful. This is the power of the mind, the sanctuary where testosterone, energy, and resilience are rebuilt in silence. Many men over 60 overlook this. They chase energy, focus, and vitality through action alone, pills, supplements, workouts, or even sheer willpower. And while those things help, they cannot replace the restorative work that happens when the nervous system is calm, when the brain and body enter what I call restorative alignment. Let me explain. Testosterone doesn't surge simply because a man wants it to. It thrives in a body that is relaxed, rested, and free from chronic stress. Cortisol, the stress hormone, suppresses testosterone production, and most men live in a low-grade stress state they barely notice. Rushed mornings, crowded schedules, constant digital noise. Even a body nourished by walnuts, almonds, and garlic can't perform at its peak if the nervous system is in fight-or-flight mode 24/7. This is where mindfulness, intentional breathing, and evening routines matter. The body doesn't distinguish between psychological tension and physical strain. Stress constricts blood vessels, elevates heart rate, and disrupts sleep cycles. It whispers to your endocrine system, slow down, conserve energy, protect yourself. That whisper, repeated over decades, dims your vitality without you even realizing it. I've seen it countless times in my practice. Men come to me feeling physically strong, they lift weights, walk daily, eat right, but they wake groggy, irritable, and unable to focus. When I ask about their evenings, about how they sleep, about how they wind down, the answer is almost always the same. I stay busy, doc. I don't have time to relax. Here's the truth. A man's energy isn't only in his muscles or his arteries. It's in his nervous system, in the quiet management of his stress, in the rhythm of his sleep. And the body remembers how to restore itself if we give it the signal to do so. One of my patients, George, 69, is a retired firefighter. He was in excellent physical shape, but complained of low libido and fatigue. His sleep was broken. He would wake 3 or 4 times a night. We started a simple intervention. A nightly 15-minute wind down, dim lights, no screens, slow breathing, light stretching, combined with a mindful minute of chewing walnuts and almonds before dinner. Within 2 weeks, George reported deeper sleep and waking energy he hadn't felt in a decade. Within a month, his testosterone levels were up, his mood stabilized, and he no longer felt like his body was betraying him. He didn't need a pill to get this effect. He simply gave his nervous system the chance to reset. Sleep and hormone renewal are intertwined. Deep, consistent sleep allows the pituitary gland to signal testosterone production efficiently. It allows growth hormone to repair tissues and blood vessels. It allows the brain to consolidate memory, regulate mood, and restore motivation. Without this nightly renewal, even the most disciplined nutrition and exercise plans cannot achieve their full effect. This is why the 60-second power chew ritual becomes even more transformative when paired with calm, intentional living. The body responds not just to nutrients but to rhythm and presence. The mind and body are not separate, they are partners in restoration. Chew mindfully, breathe deeply, and let your nervous system know that it is safe to restore. Another layer is mental imagery and intention. I encourage patients to visualize strength flowing through their body as they chew, warmth in their arteries, steadiness in their heart, clarity in their mind. This isn't mystical thinking. It's a way of engaging the parasympathetic nervous system, the branch responsible for rest, repair, and balance. Every deliberate thought reinforces biochemical pathways that support testosterone, circulation, and emotional resilience. Even small gestures matter. A man who sits quietly after chewing allows his mind to slow and focuses on deep breathing sends a powerful signal. I am ready to restore myself. It's almost poetic. The simplest acts, chewing, breathing, resting, unlock what decades of stress and neglect have suppressed. Sleep hygiene is part of this equation too. Consistent bedtime, cool room temperature, absence of artificial light, and minimizing late-night stimulation all signal the body that it is safe to relax and repair. When paired with nutrition and the 1-minute ritual, these steps create a multiplier effect. Circulation improves, hormones balance, energy renews, and the mind becomes sharper. I often remind my patients, you can't cheat biology, but you can cooperate with it. By honoring the body's need for calm and rhythm, you amplify every other effort you make. Nutrition works better, exercise becomes more effective, and your testosterone returns naturally to levels that support energy, mood, and desire. I'll leave you with this thought. The mind's quiet strength is not weakness. It is subtle, patient, and immensely powerful. It restores what is otherwise lost in noise and haste. Men over 60 who embrace this understand that true vitality is not just a measure of muscles or sexual performance. It is a state of presence, clarity, and balance. When fire meets calm, garlic and walnuts meet mindfulness and sleep, the body begins to perform as it once did. Circulation flows freely. Hormones fire rhythmically, fatigue lifts, and the quiet confidence of being alive returns. From this point, we move into a dedicated section responding to real questions from viewers, addressing skepticism, curiosity, and even a little humor. Bridging nutrition, circulation, and mental strength with direct answers. It's time to pause the lessons, the rituals, and the science and turn directly to you, the men who follow this journey, who write in, comment, or simply wonder about whether these small acts can truly make a difference. I read your messages carefully, and today I want to respond to some of the questions that came in from our last video. Some are serious, some are skeptical, and a few are just plain funny, which is good because humor is part of health too. Question 1, Dr. Prescott, I'm 72 and I've tried everything, pills, powders, even special diets. Can 1 minute of chewing really make a difference? Absolutely. 1 minute may sound small, almost insignificant, but what we are doing isn't just eating, we're activating a complex network in the body. Chewing stimulates salivary enzymes, converts L-arginine into nitric oxide, signals your vagus nerve, and primes your blood vessels. That 1 minute sets in motion what years of stress and poor habits may have dulled. Think of it like turning the ignition key in a classic car that's been sitting in the garage for a decade. The engine is still there, it just needs the spark. Question 2. Is this really just for circulation and testosterone, or does it help other areas too? It's a cascade, not a single-purpose tool. As your blood flow improves and hormones stabilize, you'll notice better sleep, improved mental clarity, steadier mood, and even digestion. Some men have told me they feel more confident making decisions or handling stress, almost like the body is whispering, "I've got you." One small act reaches every system connected to your nervous and vascular networks. Question 3. Do I have to chew walnuts and almonds together? Can I just pick one? You can choose, but the combination amplifies results. Walnuts target circulation with L-arginine and omega-3. Almonds fuel magnesium and zinc, calming the nervous system while supporting testosterone. Together, they create a balance of fire and calm, energy and relaxation, something you simply don't get from either alone. One nut alone helps, but the synergy is what makes this practice extraordinary. Question 4. Can I do this at night or should it be in the morning? Both work. Morning use primes the body for a day of clarity and vitality. Evening use allows repair and hormone balance while you sleep. Some men alternate, depending on their schedule. The key isn't timing, it's intention, a deliberate, uninterrupted 60 seconds where you focus fully on the act. Think of it as a reset, no matter when it happens. Question 5. I don't like chewing nuts, can I use something else? Here's where I get a little strict, because the act of chewing is as important as the nutrients. The physical process activates nitric oxide and primes your nervous system. Simply swallowing a supplement won't replicate the neurological and vascular effects. That said, you can experiment with similar textured foods rich in L-arginine and omega-3s, but walnuts and almonds remain the most efficient and studied choice. The ritual is just as critical as the nutrition. Question 6. Dr. Prescott, if I chew too slowly, will my wife get annoyed? Possibly. But this is a moment for yourself, not a dinner table competition. Some men have even incorporated it as a shared ritual with partners, turning it into a moment of calm together. But if your spouse complains, simply remind them it's 1 minute a day for years of vitality. And if that doesn't work, hide in the garage. That's where I do my best research with men like George. These questions highlight a key truth. Even the simplest act can spark curiosity, doubt, humor, and hope all at once. And that's exactly what makes this practice powerful. It's approachable yet profound. It's humble yet transformative. And it addresses not just the chemistry of your body, but the psychology of confidence and control. As you reflect on these questions, notice a pattern. The men who see results are the ones who commit. Not sporadically, not only when they feel motivated, but consistently. They allow themselves 60 seconds of mindful focus, and in doing so, they remind the body, the mind, and the hormones exactly how it used to feel when vitality was effortless. I encourage every man watching to consider this. There's no magic pill here. There's no hype, just biology, rhythm, and intention. The questions you ask matter because they signal your curiosity, your commitment to reclaiming energy, and your readiness to cooperate with your own physiology. After answering these letters, the next part of our journey brings it all together. We'll show how to translate all these small steps, walnuts, almonds, garlic, mindful breathing, sleep, and stress management, into a daily foundation that restores vitality, confidence, and a sense of being fully alive. The ritual isn't about perfection. It's about consistency and the willingness to engage with your body intentionally. And remember, if even one question here resonates with you, it's a signal that your body is ready. Your mind is asking the right questions. You're not passive in the aging process. You are active, curious, and capable. That small spark of inquiry, combined with the power chew and mindful practice, begins a chain reaction that renews not just blood flow, but life itself. Now that we've explored the individual components, walnuts for circulation, almonds for hormones, mindful chewing, and deep breathing, it's time to talk about how to bring it all together. This is where transformation becomes sustainable. A single act practiced once or twice can feel powerful, but the real results emerge when the ritual becomes part of your daily life. Think of your body as an instrument. Each system, circulation, hormones. Nervous system, digestion, is a string. If you pluck one string occasionally, you get a note. If you tune every string consistently, you produce a symphony. The power chew is that tuning process. Done intentionally every day, it harmonizes your body in ways years of neglect cannot undo overnight. Start by choosing your window. Morning, evening, or both, it doesn't matter as long as it's consistent. Some men, like George at 71, find mornings ideal. He combines the chew with a glass of room-temperature water, then a few minutes of deep breathing, setting a tone of vitality that lasts until the afternoon. Others, like Harold at 68, prefer a night ritual, using the chew to calm his mind and prepare for restorative sleep. The key isn't the clock, it's commitment and presence. Next, measure your portion. A small handful, roughly equal parts walnuts and almonds, is sufficient. Overloading doesn't increase the effect. In fact, the ritual is as much about duration and focus as nutrition. 1 minute of deliberate chewing, no distractions, no multitasking, engages the nervous system fully. Your vagus nerve fires, your saliva produces enzymes and nitrates, and nitric oxide begins to circulate. It's a precise, elegant choreography you direct with intention. Combine the chew with rhythmic breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds through your nose. Hold 2, exhale for 6. Match the pace of each chew with your breath. This is more than relaxation, it's circulation, oxygen delivery, and hormone optimization all in one. Your arteries relax, your blood flows freely, and your nervous system transitions from stress to restoration mode. It's subtle, but the cumulative effect is unmistakable. One of the most common questions I receive is whether to integrate other habits alongside the chew. Absolutely. The chew becomes the anchor for broader lifestyle adjustments. Walking, light resistance exercise, consistent sleep, and hydration complement the ritual. But don't overcomplicate. The power chew itself is sufficient to catalyze change. Think of it as planting a seed, the rest of your lifestyle nurtures it. Consistency matters more than intensity. You don't need to chew for 5 minutes or consume excessive amounts of nuts. 60 focused seconds every day becomes a signal your body trusts. Your nitric oxide pathways adapt, hormone regulation stabilizes, and even minor inflammation diminishes. Over weeks, men report waking with more energy, clarity, and a renewed sense of control. That's not coincidence, it's biology responding to deliberate daily stimulus. Some men ask if they can skip days without losing progress. Short gaps are fine, but irregular practice diminishes efficiency. The body thrives on repetition. Each day's act reinforces neural and vascular pathways, maintaining responsiveness. If you're truly committed to reclaiming vitality, make the ritual non-negotiable, a small but steadfast pillar of your daily routine. Another practical tip: pair the chew with mindfulness. Focus on texture, taste, and the sensation of nutrients mixing with saliva. The brain registers this attention, amplifying nervous system engagement. Men who approach the chew as a meditation rather than a task often notice the fastest, most profound improvements. Energy becomes steadier, moods more stable, and the sense of inner calm stronger. Finally, keep a journal. Record how you feel before and after the chew, your energy levels, mood, and any changes in sleep or performance. Tracking progress reinforces the habit psychologically and provides tangible evidence of its effect. Men often discover patterns. Perhaps their clarity peaks mid-morning or their relaxation is more profound in the evening. These insights allow further personalization, optimizing the ritual for each individual's physiology. By now, it should be clear. The power chew isn't just about blood flow or testosterone. It's about integrating multiple systems into a cohesive daily practice that restores rhythm, presence, and pride in your body. Men over 60 often report a sense of liberation, a quiet, profound understanding that aging doesn't mean decline, but rather a chance to reclaim control intelligently and naturally. And here's the beauty. Once you make this a habit, the benefits extend beyond the act itself. Mindful nutrition, better sleep, more consistent energy, and improved mood all ripple outward. The Power Chew becomes a cornerstone for holistic well-being. Your body begins to respond as it did decades ago, but now with the wisdom of experience guiding it. So, if you've practiced the chew for weeks and paired it with breathing, consistency, and mindfulness, you've created more than a daily habit. You've built a lifelong foundation for vitality. This is where biology meets intention, and your future self thanks you for the minutes you dedicate today. By now, you've experienced the fundamentals: walnuts to boost circulation, almonds for hormonal balance, mindful chewing, and deep, intentional breathing. But there's one more layer that can elevate this ritual from powerful to transformative. I call it the secret accelerator, and it's deceptively simple. Most men underestimate the impact of environment and attention on nutrient absorption. Your body doesn't just respond to what you chew. It responds to how you chew and where you direct your focus. Rushing, multitasking, or shallow breathing all dilute the effects. This is why so many men never reach their full potential. The signal never fires properly. Here's the key: synchronized breathing. Pairing your chew with slow, rhythmic inhalations and exhalations doesn't just calm the mind, it amplifies nitric oxide production, circulation, and nervous system activation. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 2, exhale for 6. Match each breath to each deliberate chew. This deep, conscious rhythm signals your body that it's time to repair, restore, and awaken. Next, consider posture and focus. Sit upright, shoulders relaxed, feet grounded. Avoid distractions. The nervous system responds to this intentional alignment, allowing blood vessels to relax fully and hormones to engage naturally. Even subtle changes, leaning forward slightly or closing your eyes, can increase the efficacy of the ritual. It's not magic, it's physiology in harmony with awareness. Let's dive into the chemistry for a moment. Walnuts provide L-arginine, a precursor to nitric oxide. Almonds supply magnesium and zinc, balancing hormones and calming nerves. When you chew deliberately while breathing deeply, the conversion of L-arginine into nitric oxide is accelerated. Arteries respond faster and circulation improves more efficiently. Hormone regulation synchronizes with the nervous system, amplifying energy, focus, and mood. In essence, the body becomes a well-orchestrated system again. Here's another tip many men overlook: timing with hydration. A small glass of room temperature water immediately after your chew enhances nutrient transport and circulation. Water acts as a carrier, moving nitric oxide precursors and minerals throughout the bloodstream. It's a minor adjustment with disproportionately large effects. Men who adopt this practice notice steadier energy levels and faster recovery from fatigue. Men often ask whether they can supercharge this ritual further. The answer is yes, but it must remain deliberate. Pair the chew with a brief moment of gratitude or intention setting. Even 15 seconds of mental focus, acknowledging your body's capabilities or setting an intention for the day, primes the nervous system to accept and integrate the physiological changes. It's subtle, but the combination of physiology and psychology produces remarkable results. Some may think, can a minute really change decades of decline? Yes, if done correctly. Biological pathways are remarkably responsive. Nitric oxide production rebounds, arteries regain elasticity, and hormone rhythms stabilize faster than most men expect. Over a few weeks, energy, clarity, and vitality return in ways that feel natural and sustainable. It's quiet but undeniable. Here's what men report after integrating the secret accelerator consistently. Mornings feel lighter and more purposeful. Mental clarity and focus improve steadily. Energy remains stable throughout the day. Emotional regulation becomes easier. Sexual vitality improves subtly but reliably. It's important to note this isn't a replacement for a healthy lifestyle. Think of it as a force multiplier. Exercise, nutrition, sleep, and stress management all amplify the effects. The Power Chew with the Secret Accelerator ensures your body actually receives and responds to these inputs at maximum efficiency. A practical example. Mr. Thompson, 73, added the synchronized breathing and hydration technique to his morning chew. Within 2 weeks, he noticed sharper mental clarity, deeper sleep, and even more confidence in social and intimate interactions. The difference wasn't instantaneous or flashy, but it was steady and profound. Another critical aspect, consistency over intensity. You don't need to overdo it. One deliberate, focused minute per day combined with breathing, posture, and hydration is enough. Overloading or rushing reduces efficacy and risks making the ritual feel like a chore. The goal is to create a sustainable habit, a daily signal to your body that restoration is happening. Finally, consider tracking progress. Keep a journal or use a simple checklist to note energy, mood, circulation, and sleep quality. Men often underestimate small improvements until they see patterns over weeks. Tracking provides motivation and reinforces the neural pathways responsible for habit formation. In summary, the Secret Accelerator transforms the Power Chew from a simple act into a comprehensive full-body reboot. It integrates physical, chemical, and neurological components, producing benefits that compound over time. Circulation improves, hormones stabilize, energy steadies, and emotional balance strengthens. It's not about chasing youth, it's about reclaiming control and maximizing the body you have. Now that you've seen how the Power Chew and its secret accelerator work, it's time to address the questions many men over 60 have been sending in. Some are curious, some skeptical, and a few downright playful, and that's exactly what makes this part so important. Let's dive in. Question 1, Dr. Prescott, can I do the Power Chew more than once a day, or is 1 minute enough? Here's the truth. One deliberate, focused minute is enough to trigger nitric oxide production and stimulate hormones effectively. Doing it more often doesn't hurt, but it's not necessary to see results. In fact, the ritual works best when it's consistent and intentional rather than repeated haphazardly. Think quality over quantity. Question 2, I have dental issues and sometimes can't chew properly. Can I still benefit? Absolutely. If chewing is difficult, consider breaking the nuts into smaller pieces or lightly soaking them overnight. The key is still mindful chewing and saliva activation, even if it's gentler. Your arteries and hormones still receive the signal, and with time you'll notice improvements in energy and circulation. Question 3. Is this only for men over 60, or can younger men try it too? Younger men can benefit as well, especially if they want to maintain optimal blood flow, hormonal balance, and stress resilience. But for men over 60, this ritual becomes particularly transformative because it targets the systems most prone to gradual decline: nitric oxide production, arterial elasticity, and hormone efficiency. Question 4. Can I substitute walnuts or almonds with other nuts? While some nuts offer partial benefits, walnuts and almonds are unique in their combination of L-arginine, omega-3s, magnesium, and zinc. Cashews or pecans don't provide the same balance, so if your goal is to fully activate circulation and hormone pathways, stick with these two. The synergy is what produces the noticeable results. Question 5. Dr. Prescott, will chewing a minute a day magically make me look 20 years younger? Let's keep this real. It's not a fountain of youth, but it will restore energy, mental clarity, confidence, and physical responsiveness. Men often report feeling younger in spirit and more capable in body. That subtle, steady vitality is far more valuable than an unrealistic miracle. Question 6. How soon will I notice changes? Some men notice small shifts within a week, more energy in the morning, clearer thinking, better mood. For most, noticeable improvements in circulation, hormonal balance, and vitality appear consistently after 3 to 6 weeks. The key is daily, focused practice. 1 minute might feel small, but over time it compounds into real, tangible change. Here's the overarching takeaway from these questions. Your body is responsive at any age, but it needs attention, intention, and the right signals. The power chew combined with deep breathing, posture, and hydration is one of the simplest, most science-backed ways to deliver those signals daily. I want to highlight one pattern from these cue and interactions. Men who implement small tweaks, timing their chew, sitting upright, focusing on breath, notice dramatically better results. It's a reminder that tiny, deliberate changes produce the largest returns when practiced consistently. And for a little bonus insight, the men who embrace this ritual as a daily moment of mindfulness often notice improvements beyond just the physical. Sleep becomes deeper, stress eases, mental focus sharpens, and interactions with partners, family, or friends feel richer. It's a gentle ripple effect that touches every aspect of life. Congratulations for making it this far. By now, you understand how the power chew walnuts for circulation, almonds for hormones, and deep breathing for maximum effect can reignite the systems that support your strength, energy, and confidence. But understanding alone isn't enough. True transformation comes when this simple 1-minute ritual becomes a daily habit, a cornerstone of your life, and a declaration that you're still in control of your health, your body, and your future. Here's the critical point. Lasting vitality doesn't come from shortcuts. It comes from consistency, intention, and integration. The 1-minute chew isn't a quick fix. It's a bridge between the man you were and the man you are becoming. Each day it trains your body to anticipate nourishment, balance, and restoration at the same time each day. Your nitric oxide pathways become more efficient, your arteries regain flexibility, your hormone rhythms stabilize, and your nervous system learns it can relax while staying alert. Imagine waking up and starting your morning with this ritual. A small handful of walnuts and almonds, slow, intentional chewing, and rhythmic deep breaths. Feel the oils, the textures, the flavors interacting with your saliva, awakening nitric oxide production, balancing hormones, and signaling calm to your nervous system. In just 1 minute, your body is remembering what it feels like to be fully alive again.